Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I want you to look, really look at the nativity scene and think about the greatest Christmas present of all, the birth of Jesus. Good morning, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Good morning. And a good morning to you and your family. And, wow, I got to admit, it was a hard thing to do to get out of bed this morning. Morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires for wintertime driving. And, of course, don't forget some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, without further ado, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Man, do you sound chipper this morning?
I do, but I have a real quick question for you.
Uh-oh.
If Friday is so far from Monday, then how come Monday can be so close to Friday?
Thanks for calling, Doug. See you later, buddy. Thank you. Hey, it's time for the weather and the weather forecast, of course, brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South 600 West of Heyburn. Morning, Roger and the crew, and Merry Christmas to you. Absolutely right there on the Burley Paul Highway, and they've got all the tools and equipment. They've got all the heaters, and they got all the sewer snakes. They've got everything over there at K&R Rental. Yep, number to call, find out more, 678-3122. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like a chance of rain or snow showers are in the forecast as we begin another work week and the final week before Christmas. We are looking at a 50% chance of rain or snows, mostly cloudy skies, expecting a high of 41. Winds out of the east-northeast, right around 5 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, low of 28. For tomorrow, a chance of rain or snow showers in the morning, mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon, high of 40. That could possibly continue for tomorrow night with a low of 33. By Wednesday, we're going to see some sunshine, high of 42, overnight low of 28, and Thursday mostly sunny and 41. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody by K&R Rental. They get there early in the morning at 7 a.m. to serve you at 256 South 600 West of Heyburn, right there on the Burley Paul Highway, 678-3122. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas, and that's K&R Rental. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I want to remind everybody, too, that, you forgot to get the tablecloth cleaned after Thanksgiving, and it's got gravy stains, turkey stains, cranberry stains. It's all on there. You better hurry. Get into Darrow's Cleaners and see if they've got time to help you out at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They are the best at what they do, and I mean that. They are the best at what they do. Kevin and Cindy, the whole crew, are over there at Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Here's the
menu for today at the Senior Center on South Overland, Burley, Idaho.
Okay.
Have lasagna, green beans, fruit cup, green salad, and yummy pie, assorted pies for dessert.
Yummy assorted pies.
For only $5.
$5 at the Senior Junction, and if you want to have a takeout, just give them a call. They'll have it ready for you, right, Joe?
That's right.
All right, my friend. God bless you.
We appreciate you.
Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
All right, sir. Thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to stop right here, and I want to pass out a whole list of thank yous. Thank yous. Last Thursday, we did our remote broadcast for the Denny's Old Fashioned Christmas Party at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And I just want to say a special thank you. And Deanne's handing me special notes, too. Joe Taylor's birthday was last Friday, Deanne says. Happy birthday to Joe. Oh, it's this coming Friday? Oh, I thought it was last Friday. It's this coming Friday. And Bertha Wood's going to have a birthday today. Happy birthday to those wonderful people. But we had a wonderful time over at Denny's Restaurant where you can get breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime, all the time. They had the place absolutely decorated beautifully with all the Christmas. The waitresses were dressed up like Santa's elves, and Thomas and the staff, it was great. Ashley Ludlow provided the music, and everybody loved her Christmas caroling. Santa Claus was there, and there is nobody like Santa Claus at that Christmas party. Did a wonderful job. All the guests, all the callers, thanks to all of you that contributed to Loot in the Boot to help needy families. Thank you. I also have to give a great big shout out to two other people that really helped. Three, actually. And Chris Dixon, the engineer. And then over at the studio, my buddy, my itty-bitty buddy, and that's, of course, Wheels, did a great job. And my wife, Deanne, absolutely helped immensely over at that remote. I want to thank everybody for the gifts, the Christmas cards. I'm afraid that if I mention somebody by name, I'm going to miss somebody. And all I can say to all of you, and I mean this from Deanne and I, God bless you, and Merry, Merry Christmas. It was a wonderful day over at Denny's last Thursday. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And by the way, you can stop into Denny's and just, if you're doing all the Christmas shopping and everything, stop in and have either, like I said, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time. The menu choices, new menu items, wow, it's delicious at Denny's Restaurant in Burley. Also, our dear friends over at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Hello, all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and I mean all. They have been in business for over 6 decades. That's such a tribute right there to those great folks. And the best of people, the best of what you need, and they're there to serve you at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Wheels, I notice I'm hearing a little static. How are we coming through, old buddy? Is it a bad phone line, or what is that?
You know, honestly, I can't really tell. The static's not too bad. It's not like, you know, in your ear or anything that. But if we need to change the line, then we can at the break.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome. It looks like Friday. This story just makes me so upset. The Democrats and the Republicans had agreed to billions of dollars for national security and, of course, the wall quite some time ago. And then, of course, the Democrats, in their shady, rat-like little ways, have decided to back up. Well, Friday is the deadline for the budget and the funding for the wall. Now, I would like to hear from you. I say shut the government down if there is not funding for the wall. President Trump ran on border security. We are not seeing border security. We're seeing an open, porous border. We're seeing devastating problems on the border. We're seeing attempts by illegal aliens to just say with a finger in our chest, get out of the way. We're coming through. You can't stop us attitude. Yes, we can, and hopefully we will. And there has to be better border security. Name me another country in the world that would put up with this foolishness. And that's what it is. Don't give me a lecture on amnesty. No, these people that are trying to get in here have no clue about amnesty. They have no clue other than they're being perpetrated and pushed by groups of multimillionaires that want to destroy the United States Constitution and our immigration system and have an open borders world. That's what it's all about, headed up by the likes of Chucky Schumer and Nancy Appaloosa. That's exactly what is going on. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that subject up this morning. I just saw on the one of the TV programs that over 1.2 or 3 million Venezuelans planning to leave Venezuela and head up this way.
Yeah, we are now going to be considered the sponge to mop up all the spill. And quite frankly, I am incensed about this. Tony, why should you and I pay the bill? Why should you and I pay our taxes? Why should you and I be subjected to, you got to pay more for people that are coming in here and then are going to live off our dime? Now, don't give me anybody this speech about, they're not going to cost you any money. They're going to contribute. That is absolute mental garbage.
Well, right now we're paying plenty for indigent care here in Idaho on our property taxes, and we've got enough going on with these constant school levies. You can imagine the schools being loaded with these people, what the cost to run our schools is going to be.
Yeah.
We can't handle anymore.
We shouldn't.
We're going to go under if we keep going this way.
Yeah, we shouldn't and can't handle anymore, and absolutely on the shouldn't part of it. I am very, very upset about this. And again, I'm going to ask you just bluntly, give me a yes or a no. Do you want to see a government shutdown if Trump does not get the money for the wall?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it, Tony.
One more thing I'd like to say.
Real quick.
When these people come in across the border, they should be handed maps to where Pelosi's property is, her the grape vineyard, and Schumer's property. Evidently, they've got a lot of property around that tent cities could be set up in their own backyards.
Yeah, go to Jeff Flake's place in Arizona. There's all kinds of great places. Tony, thank you so much. I appreciate it. God bless you. Merry Christmas to you.
Right.
Thank you. Caller, I will be right there. I've got to get this in real quick. Stay with me. Don't hang up or anything like that. I want to talk to you. Don't forget Merry Christmas wishes from Representative Fred Wood, District 27. He wants to thank all of his constituents for their support and wish all of them a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, and Merry Christmas from Representative Fred Wood, District 27. Along with the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce at 1177 7th Street in Heyburn, Sarah Seymour and the rest of the crew. I met Sarah for the first time face-to-face last Thursday. What a wonderful lady. The Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce wishing you and yours a Merry Christmas. Along with Rick and the folks over at Mountain Transmissions, 1146 East Main in Burley. And by golly, free towing, free diagnostic, and free estimates. You got transmission trouble, they can help, they will help. Mountain Transmissions in Burley. And Senator Kelly Anthon of District 27 says again, thanks to everybody that voted for him, and he loves working for you. There's a man that really, really cares. Senator Kelly Anthon and his family wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Don't forget, tomorrow at 9:46, the Stotz Equipment Ag Minute. Stotz Equipment, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. They try to make your life a little bit easier, and they do. Vic and the crew over at Stotz Equipment wishing you and yours a Merry Christmas. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and good morning. I think we need to shut the government down. I think there's parts of our government that need to be permanently shut down, like Planned Parenthood, most of the EPA, most of all these other corrupt, dishonest, crooked organizations like the FBI. They should be shut down permanently, done away with, never to show their face in this country ever again, and all the Democrats should be fired.
Wow. Well, Merry Christmas to all of them. Jerry, thank you for your call. I can't argue with that.
I think there's a lot of corruption going on, and I'm sick of it.
Well, I can tell, and you go get the stocking, I'll get the coal, and we'll give it to him, buddy. Thank you so much for your call. Have a good one.
Give him some low sulfur coal.
Okay. Jerry, thank you.
Have a great day. Merry Christmas. May the Lord bless.
Yep. I appreciate it, buddy. And, here's the deal, from, I think it was 25 or 26 billion. When you get up with those kind of numbers, here a billion, there a billion, wherever. Originally the concept for border security, et cetera, the Democrats and the Republicans, and then with the haggling, and then with the Democrats realizing, we're going to lose out on all of these illegals coming into this country and voting for us. Then there was the haggle, and then they started saying, Chucky and Nancy and the crew saying, we're only going to give you 1.3. Well, no, this whole thing, you can listen to newscasts and you can devolve what actually or is not happening. But the truth is the Democrats right now don't want a wall. I'll give you a direct quote. Chuck Schumer, quote, he's not, meaning Trump, he is not going to get the wall in any form. Okay? Trump ran on the premise of building border security and stopping a lot of this idiocy, incompetency, and infiltration into our country. That's what he ran on. And I support him 100%, 110% actually. We need better border security. And we're Looney Tunes if we don't get it. But for Chuck Schumer to say Trump, is not going to get the wall in any form, then I say to Donald Trump, shut the government down. About 1/4 of the government, now remember about 1/4 of the government would be affected. That means the other 3/4 still going on and running. I say to Donald Trump this morning, you know what? You ran on this. That was your mantra. Go for it and shut down the government. What are your thoughts? Give me a call quickly. I want to hear what you have to say. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I say this morning, and I mean this. There is none better. There are no more caring people than Nick Greenwell and all of those physical therapists. They really want you to get back to feeling like you, whether you're recouping from a surgery, an accident, whatever. I mean, they know all the exercises. They've got the only hydrotherapy pool of its kind in the area. Please take my advice. Please call them at 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. They can and will help you get back to being you. I know some other great folks we want to talk about this morning, too, and that's, of course, Ark Animal Hospital. Why, I'll tell you what, they really care for your dogs and your kitty cats and your roping steers and your horses and your dairy cows, mixed animal practice, and they really care. By the way, I've got to urge you again, the temperature is now down to where we're seeing freezing at night, and water not accessible perhaps if you don't have heaters or heated buckets and tubs. Please remember that your animals have to have a all-the-time water supply. So please watch out for that. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. 678-1177 where they have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Really nice people. All right, your turn. What about the wall? Do you want it or not? You just want everything to come on in? And when I say everything, I mean people and items, drugs, weapons, gangs, etc. Do you want absolutely no border security? Do you want these people to just come in and you've got a handkerchief and you're going to dab your eye a little bit and say, oh, these poor people, let's just take them all? Or do you want some border security to protect you and I, the taxpayers, and our future generations? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I am sick and tired of people thinking that we need to be the rescue of everybody that has a problem. Send these people a message. Go back to where you came from, or put them in the Democrat backyard.
Donna, I want, this is the Christmas season, and you wouldn't believe some of the trashy things that have been said to me about my attitude on this. But we cannot be all things to all people, because when you are trying to be all things to all people, you lose and eliminate the value of our country and what we have here. And we can't absorb like a sponge all these people.
No, you're totally right. And I am so tired of these Democrats. The Democrats are the ones that are acting like little 2-year-olds. Schumer needs to get the polite way of saying a
please.
Check.
Yeah, you know,
he needs a reality check. He's the one that's acting like a little 2-year-old throwing a damn temper tantrum.
Did you see?
Get up off your butt and get the dadgum wall finalized, and then we can solve these problems that we have here.
Trump absolutely played Schumer and Pelosi like a banjo the other day when he had them in the White House in front of the cameras. That just shows you how stupid Schumer and Pelosi are. They should have known that there was going to be arbitration. They should have known the president was not going to back up. They should have known they were going to look stupid, which they do all the time, but this time they looked worse. But they didn't, and Trump, played them like a banjo.
Yes, he did, and I'm hoping that he will not back down this time like he did in the past. He needs to stand. It's not going to hurt for the government to be shut down for a day or 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, come on.
We're only talking
to secure our country.
Yeah, we're only talking about 1/4 of the government that would be affected. And quite frankly, that's tough. Okay, you want to get your point across. You don't want to seem weak-kneed or milquetoast. Stand firm. Take your sword out of the case and put a line in the sand and say, nope, I backed up the last time, but I'm not backing up again. Look out, we're going to stand firm.
Well, I hope we're both right, and I hope he does. He can do it. He just needs to stand up and say, this is it.
Yeah. And to the clowns that belong in a circus out here, even in Magic Valley, no. No more illegals. No more at the risk of the taxpayers. No more.
Yep. I don't know how we're going to absorb all this. I mean, we have enough here in Twin Falls, and that, to me, that's too dadgum close.
Well, believe me, Donna, all that is happening right now is nothing more than a political ploy by the left, just like Saul Alinsky and the Rules for Radicals and the way to tear apart the last great ever country in this world, the United States.
I totally agree with you, sir.
Thank you, and God bless you.
You betcha.
Thank you. Hey, by the way, I want to wish Merry Christmas wishes out from Riverside Urgent Care of Burley at 382 North Overland in Burley, the Urgent Care of Twin Falls at 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin, and Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Your health is their number one priority, and they strive every day to provide the highest level of quality care while keeping costs to a minimum. Remember, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from the Urgent Cares in Burley, Twin Falls, and Jerome. Right now, I'm going to give away, I'm in the Christmas spirit this morning, and I'm going to give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square, with the best of bakery items, the pies and the cookies and the different muffins and all the wedding cake. Oh, my goodness, they've got it all along with a great restaurant. And here is the question for today. The first caller that calls in with the right answer is going to get a dozen cookies. If they're sugar cookies with no frosting, you got to share them. Name the 2 male stars of the great Christmas movie, White Christmas. Name the 2 male stars of the great Christmas movie, White Christmas. First person to call, 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587 will win the cookies at Sophie's Chatterbox. Name the 2 male stars of the great Christmas movie, White Christmas. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby.
Who is this?
This is Paul Peterson.
Why, this isn't Paul Peterson. This is the painter of the Sistine Chapel. This is the Rembrandt. This is the great man. Paul Peterson, you are the winner. It is correct. It was.
Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give those cookies to Wills and Scotty and Gina, and if one of them will pick them up, they're welcome to them.
Oh, well, that is awfully nice, Paul. Thank you very much, and God bless you and your lovely wife. Thank you so much.
You have a good day.
Now, that was Wheels. You just got yourself a dozen cookies. All you got to do is call over there and tell them that Mr. Paul Peterson's going to give you the cookies that he just won this morning. How do you like that?
You know, that's very nice of him. Well, Merry Christmas to you and your wife, Paul, and, you know, we always love your pictures, so thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That is great. That is Christmas personified right there. I think that's really nice. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I would love to hear what you have to say. You want the wall? You want all the drug trafficking, just come on in. Yeah, y'all come on in. Live here in the backyard or set a tent up over there on the Rupert Square, whatever. Go ahead. Come on in. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Dino Septic Service, and they have expanded their business so they can better serve all of us'ns. Absolutely. Dino Septic Service, of course, with the best in septic tank pumping and backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed, septic inspections, liquid waste removal. Oh, my goodness, they do the jobs we don't want to do. All you need to do is call them at 436-6526 or in Burley, 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service with that big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino Septic Service, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, Zeb.
Hi.
Merry Christmas to you.
And the same to you.
I think we need to build that wall and send those people home with a little help from the military down there. I also think that all of the Democrats' paychecks should be froze. Don't send them any money till they do what they need to do and what's right.
Let me ask you a question here quickly. With your circle of friends, do you have anyone that you know of thinks that we should have a y'all come on in attitude? We'll foot the bill. We'll pay all the bills. We'll take care of you attitude. Does anybody have an attitude of, oh, don't build the wall, let's just go borderless?
I think every American that worth their salt wants that wall. Because if these people that want to come here and just have us take care of them, they need to just think again and go back and make their own government take care of them.
Yeah, you know, right there's the key. Right there is the key. Why in the world shouldn't the negativity and the finger pointing and the demanding be made by us so that these people go back and they tell their governments shape up or ship out and get the job done in their own country? I am sick and tired of renegades leaving the country that they're leaving, whether it's Venezuelan, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and coming up here and expecting us, you and me, foot the bill, take care of us, here we are.
Right. And kick out George Soros while we're at it.
You're
like him.
You're a dear, sweet lady, and Merry, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Merry Christmas, sir.
My friend.
Yeah, this is the debate over the wall. I say, President Trump, stand your ground.
Oh, absolutely.
Stand your ground. Pelosi and Schumer are just, they've got a nothing hand. Make them show it.
You know what I liked the other day, and maybe you didn't care for this statement, but I did. Trump leaned over, put his hands on his knees, and looked at Schumer and said, okay, Chuck, okay, the shutdown's on me. I'm not going to do anything except shut the government down until we fund the border. I thought that was, hey, man, it doesn't get any clearer than that. He said he's going to take it on his shoulders, and he said for them to straighten up and fund the border wall.
Exactly, and they did not expect him to do that.
No.
They expected him to force blame on them like they do on everybody else. They do something, and then they blame the other people. So they do not know how to deal with Trump because President Trump has taken the political handbook and how to play, thrown it out the window, and plays the way you do in business.
I think that if you were to go house to house across this great United States, whether it's New Hampshire, whether it's New Mexico, whether it's Washington State or Washington, D.C., I think you will find that after your survey's done in honesty, that most Americans are saying enough is enough. We cannot be a catch-all and a sponge for all the world. And when Donald Trump said, I ran on security, border security, and he said, I would be proud, those are his words, to have a shutdown of the government to get Congress to approve the money for the wall. I stand behind him, and I hope he does not weaken.
He won't weaken. I'm almost 100% positive he won't.
If he does, I'll say this, Doug, if he does, he will not be reelected in 2020.
You've got a probably good point right there, yes. And it's just like, okay, these farmers out here, they got borders on their properties. They used to have fences because everybody had turned livestock out on their farm when they get done in the winter and let them, glean the fields.
Right.
But you got borders. Okay, so this one farmer says, oh, I'm gonna go about 10 foot into this guy's property and farm it. That's not the way it is. And the same way with the southern border. They can't come over here and take over our country. But exactly what the Democrats want them to do is to come in to weaken our country so we can be a third world nation.
I just do not understand the mindset of these creepy, kooky liberals. No borders. Let them all in. Oh, you rich, white American males. You're the problem. Everybody wants to come here to have the American dream. Well, I'm going to tell you something, Doug. If everybody decides to come here and try to have and be given, key word there, given the American dream, it's going to turn into an American nightmare.
Exactly. How many of the immigrants that come through Ellis Island that they talk about this world was built, or this nation was built on immigrants, how many of them was given the American dream?
Yeah.
None of them.
Yeah.
They did not have a welfare state then.
That's right.
Self-sufficient.
That's right.
You couldn't come in. And they talk about this nation being built on immigrants. That is very, very true. The one thing they leave out is the prefix illegal immigration. And that is what this nation was not built on.
I am certainly hoping that next Friday, and I mean this with all sincerity, and again to the liberal loons that listen out there and criticize me without the guts to call in on the program while it's on the air, but always afterwards on my cell phone or emails, I hope that Friday the wall is going to be funded, or Donald Trump will stand firm and shut down the government.
Well, Congress is so worried about it now that they're gone for 5 days.
Yeah, it must be nice in a time of crisis. Doesn't that make you feel warm and fuzzy? In a time of crisis, whether it's financial or whether it's wartime crisis or whatever, that the senators and congressmen decide to go back home and buy Christmas presents for their family?
Exactly. That shows you just who they care for. They do not care for the American people. They care for their D.C. swamp, which is they can live off the American people, high on the hog, and the rest of us are worker bees, and we work our butts off and give them the taxes so they can live in their high almighty gated communities.
Yeah, and I'm going to put criticism out there on Risch and Crapo and, of course, Simpson. And I'm going to just lay the blame at their feet and say, you know, one thing, here's what's happened. Ever since the election, I haven't heard a word. Even before the election, I have not heard a word. And today is kind of like D-Day for the offices of the aforementioned people. They either start calling, and I don't care if they're on a break, they are paid by us to do the job and let us know what's happening, and they'd better, right after the first of the year on this program, they better be standing up and paying attention and calling in, because we're going to come after them.
I definitely, every time I call back there, I tell them, if you want to speak to Southern Idaho, and most of Idaho, you get a hold of Zeb Bell and get on his program and tell us what's going on, what you're doing for us. And, okay, I'll tell him.
Yeah.
And that's all I get.
The one thing, Doug, I will not be, and I can guarantee you going into January with the start of our program for the 2019 season, I'm not going to be a water boy carrying buckets to their horses. They're going to have to start doing their job, calling us. You know, here's a funny thing about paid elected officials. We hire them to do a job for us. It's not vice versa. And when you call them and try to fit into the schedule so they let us know what they're doing, isn't it interesting that I have to beg, borrow, and steal, try to get 5 minutes from them? I'm not doing that anymore, Doug.
No. I mean, we need to just cut off their paycheck. We need to get a deal going about Simpson and all the other three here in Idaho. We need to say, hey, you get back there, you make some noise, and you do what we need here in Idaho. You don't go back there and get with the establishment and just sit there and draw a fat paycheck and never show up to work.
I want to say this emphatically, and if somebody misconstrues this in the audience and twists my words, shame on you. But when we have great people in the state working for us, like Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, when I call him on anything, he always calls me back. Representative Fred Wood, when I call him on anything, he just absolutely jumps overboard and gives me a call immediately. Senator Kelly Anthon. The list goes on and on. I could make more people that work here in the state of Idaho for Idaho's government. But when you get on a national level, it seems like they have an attitude that their nose is so far up in the air that if it rains, they're going to drown.
Well, they're the elite and we're the worker bees.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's their attitude towards us.
You started a subject that, boy, I got to go put some more deodorant on.
Well, you got your cardiovascular workout without getting on a treadmill.
Doug, thank you so much. Give us your quick note.
Hey, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's support them. Let's make a donation to them. In fact, I make a donation every month to the senior center. I have it taken out of my paycheck. So go to your bank, find out your senior center, see where they bank, and you can go to your bank and have a monthly withdrawal from your checking account of $10, $5. Anything will help. If we can get 100 people at $10, that's $1,000.
Yep.
Right there. And that'll feed a lot of people.
You got it, my friend. Doug Martin.
Your wife's done a great job on your Christmas lights.
Well, I held the ladder. Thank you.
God bless.
I'm not good at ladders, Dougie. Okay. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan. Hello, Juan. Over here at the Burley location, sharp young man. 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli and the Napa location. I mean, Barry Equipment and Rental is Idaho's premier Bobcat and Doosan equipment, sales, service, parts, etc. Oh my, they've got all the Bobcats, all the different sizes. And if you're not sure how to run one, hey, they'll help you. They got a big sandbox out behind the business. Don't forget equipment rentals and retail equipment sales from the best. Barry Equipment and Rental, Burley, Twin Falls, and Napa. And they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. I know somebody else wants to wish you a very Merry Christmas, and that's, of course, our friends over at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, and they've got 3 wonderful doctors of audiology that can help you and your hearing problems. Dr. Pickup, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Hunsaker, all of them are there to serve you, and all you have to do, this is it. Pick up the phone, call their number, and make an appointment. Absolutely. 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. And right now, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids brings you the weather.
Looks like a chance of rain or snow showers are in the forecast as we begin another work week and the final week before Christmas. We are looking at a 50% chance of rain or snows, mostly cloudy skies, expecting a high of 41. Winds out of the east-northeast, right around 5 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, low of 28. For tomorrow, a chance of rain or snow showers in the morning, mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon, high of 40. That could possibly continue for tomorrow night with a low of 33 by Wednesday. We're going to see some sunshine, high of 42, overnight low of 28, and Thursday mostly sunny and 41. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology, and they offer a combined 50 years of experience diagnosing and treating hearing loss. Call them for an appointment today, and that's, of course, 312-0957. I'd like to have a couple of calls right now, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to say this really quick because these are friends of mine, most of them. The National Finals Rodeo ended on Saturday evening, and all the world's champions were crowned for the end of this year, and classy guys and classy ladies in the barrel racing event. Let me tell you, Trevor Brazil, a name that if you haven't heard of, you should, because he's been so many times all-around cowboy and world champion. Went out with a bang, winning his, I believe, 14th all-around. And he said, I'm going to retire from full-time rodeo now. He's multi-millionaire. And he wants to devote all the time to his family and his other business interests, and such a classy individual, Trevor Brazil. And there was something really neat that happened last week, the last day of the NFR. The Yates family, and I know this family very, very well. I know Dick Yates, the dad, very well. I know his son J.D. Yates, that of course former world champion, and I'll tell you something. J.D. absolutely with a class. I mentioned world champion. No, I meant NFR competitor many times. But his son, J.D.'s son, Trey, ended up winning the average on 10 head at the team roping event in Las Vegas for the national finals. That same day, earlier in the day, his grandfather, Dick Yates, whom I've known for years, about over 40 years, and Dick is now 81 years old. At the World Series of Team Roping earlier in the day, he, along with another partner, at 81, won their division and won over, I think it was like $180,000 per man. And then that evening, Trey goes out and wins the average at the NFR. And I really thought it was neat because they showed a video that was taken of Trey during the day cheering his grandfather on, and when his grandpa won or roped that last steer and knew that they had won the average, he broke down in tears for his grandpa. It was really, really emotional. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Why, ladies, this is for you this morning, gals. This is for all the ladies in the audience, please. Why are women so heck bent on coming out and criticizing and chastising and minimizing and destroying Melania Trump, the First Lady? What has she done? What has she done except be nice to everyone? What has she done except help with numerous children events and charities? What has she done that would take away from her being so smart and being able to speak in 5 different languages? What has she done negatively? She decorated the White House and the surrounding grounds, and many of the reports that I talked to by people that have been there. I've talked to people that have been there, and they said it's absolutely phenomenal the way she's got everything decorated for the Christmas season. So the left comes out and they criticize her for that. They criticize her for the way she dresses in very, very nice clothing. They criticize her for her accent. They criticize her for everything, but why? It's kind of like, is it not kind of like a modern-day Cinderella story? Seriously. The women are so jealous of her and her educated mind and her striking good looks. It's almost like the Cinderella story, because the sisters with the likes of Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg and the rest of them, they can't stand her. They're so jealous. What is the reason? Somebody call me and tell me, please. Why in the world would people be so jealous and hateful of Melania Trump? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call, please. While I'm waiting for your call, I want to also acknowledge the fact that your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, not kidding you, all 7 locations have all the tires you need to be ready for anything on the roadways, the freeways, whatever. The muck, the yuck, the slush and the ice and the snow, everything. They've got all the tires, all the different tread designs, all the sizes to fit your cars, pickups, SUVs. You stop in and see them today, along with the best in brake service and front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Oh my, have they got batteries? Lots and lots of good ones. So please stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. They are the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, our major sponsor. Thank you very much. You know, I got to quickly get this in. There are so many assaults on Christmas right now. Oh, yeah, don't think for a minute the liberal loons, there's no assault on Christmas. Yes, there is. In the Ozark area of Ozark, Missouri, that's the name of the town, too. They have an absolutely, and I've seen this, they have an absolutely beautiful cross on a little hill with a nativity scene. It's phenomenal. It's beautiful. And the atheists say it has to go. It has to come down. Let me ask you, why do we even consider listening to these crackpots that are in the minority? Why don't we just poo-poo them and brush them aside and say, get out of town, Jack, we don't need you. We don't want you. Leave us alone. But we always give so much credence to the minority. Well, the majority wants that cross to stay up. And there's another man-hating story going on at this Christmas time by some kooks and lug nuts that are saying they want to rewrite all the Santa stories at Christmas time and make Santa Claus gender neutral because they don't like the idea that he is a white male. You can't make this stuff up. Basically, people are stupid. We're going to take a little break for a while, 7 minutes to be exact, and we're going to come back, and Richard Manning, of course, is going to be on the air with us, and then we're going to have Dr. Jay Lair from the Heartland Institute back in Chicago. We've got all kinds of goodies for this next hour, and, Thursday is an open house Thursday right here on the air, to the point where we tell about Christmas stories and certain Christmas poems, and we have people calling in and wishing their relatives a Merry Christmas, and it's just kind of a great day before Christmas. On Thursday, we're going to have this. We've done it every year for, 15, 16 years. Going to be a lot of fun, so plan on that for Thursday. Kind of a unscheduled attack on everything. We're going to open the phone lines up and just have a lot of fun. Right now, the news from CBS. I'll be back in 7. Oh, Merry Christmas, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday. And, of course, brought to you by, as soon as Wheels wants to turn the music down there a minute, your friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, and they've got all the tires for your wintertime driving. And some of our great advertisers, like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's have this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Western Waste Services, yep, they are always at your disposal. Don't forget to get on the route service. Oh, yeah, with Christmas only a week away, can you imagine what the living room's going to look like next Tuesday? Well, you'd better get on the route service so they can pick up all your garbage. Western Waste Services, easy. All you have to do is call 734-6969. Like I said, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services. You be sure and call them today. By the way, Merry Christmas wishes go out from some dear friends. Nature Nursery at 120 East Highway 81 in Burley. All the home decor items, fresh cut trees, and they can flock your tree too if you'd like. Artificial trees, outdoor lights, all that you need for a merry, merry Christmas at Nature Nursery in Burley. Really nice folks. Rogge Auction, Ron K. Jed, the best doggone auctioneers around. If you're selling your farm or farm equipment, they're the ones. Rogge Auction, 431-0074, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas, as does our old buddy, emphasis on the word old, Doug at Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Remember the real meaning of the season, and that, of course, Doug at Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair, the birth of Jesus. Thank you so much, Doug. We appreciate you, and they wish you and yours a Merry, Merry Christmas. By the way, quickly, I want to also remind you about Hearts for Seniors. Holly, she was over last week at our remote broadcast over at Denny's Restaurant. Absolutely had a good time. Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors at 135 East 23rd Drive in Burley. The number to call, 312-5715. And if you're a senior that wants to stay at home, they can and they will help with maybe daily tasks or maybe a little light housekeeping or running errands for you, whatever. Please call and find out more. 312-5715. Holly Rowe at Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors, 312-5715. Wishing you and yours a Merry Christmas. Every Monday for quite some time now, we've had a gentleman that absolutely I have the highest regard for. Never met him face to face, but hope to do so someday. President of Americans for Unlimited Government. Here he is, Richard Manning. Good morning and Merry Christmas, sir.
Merry Christmas, Zeb. How are you?
Well, besides being old and fat, I've got a great big cherubic smile on my face, and I'm looking forward to Christmas.
Well, we share some qualities, but it's the Christmas season, the light of the world coming into the world is a great reminder that God is with us, and we need to be just understand the blessing we live under and try to do our part in this fallen world.
Oh boy, absolutely well said. Fallen world. I'm going to give you a quote. This is a direct quote, and if you come up with the right answer, do not pass go, do not collect $200, but keep the get-out-of-jail-free card. This is a direct quote. Tell me who said this. He is not going to get the wall in any form.
Nancy Pelosi.
No. It was Chuck Schumer, but both of them are on the same page, so I'll give you credit because you were with the Democrats, and that's who said it. You know, I got to tell you something, Richard, as a taxpayer, I am absolutely mad to the nth degree that we are being manipulated, we are being used, our tax-paying money is not being respected by the Democrats. I want the wall. And I don't care if Trump shuts down the government. Am I wrong, or do you agree with me?
Oh, you should shut it down for a lot of reasons. But, yes, here's what listeners need to know. About 2/3 to 3/4 of the government has been funded already. The military has been funded. The VA has been funded. Certainly the legislative branch funded itself right off the bat. But we have a large labor and HHS have been funded, meaning the healthcare stuff has all been funded. So you have a significant portion of the government already funded. Shutting down the government at this juncture simply doesn't mean that soldiers aren't going to get their pay. What it means is that that non-essential personnel who've been deemed in advance as non-essential will be laid off. The people who work for agencies that would be impacted would, in fact, be in 7 different cabinet-level agencies that would be impacted, would, in fact, be who come to work and are deemed essential would get paid. They're just not going to get a paycheck at the right timeline, so their paycheck would be delayed. But they will get paid for the work that they do. And as a result, there's no disruption for those people. Of the 600,000 people who are in those agencies, about 17% are deemed non-essential. Now, you and I, as logical people, would say, if you're non-essential, why are we paying you anyway? But, Washington, D.C. isn't logical. They've deemed these people to be non-essential, and I'd hate to go to work every day knowing that I was non-essential, but nonetheless. So it's about 130,000 people who've been deemed, actually less than that, about 100,000 people who've been deemed non-essential by the government agencies that say, here's an essential employee, here's a non-essential employee. So it affects about 100,000 people of the federal government workforce. Of those people, they're not going to go to work. And in every other government shutdown, they have eventually gotten paid, even though they didn't get their regular pay, even though they didn't get to work. So it turned into a paid vacation for them. One thing has to change in this, Zeb, and it's very simple. The president has to tell Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the people who you choose to lay off because you're not going to fund the wall, those people are not going to get paid. They're not going to get paid at the end of this day when eventually you fund the wall, which you will. Those people who you are punishing are not going to get back pay because it did not work. And when Donald Trump says that, it changes the dynamic because those people, those public employees, tend to be Democrats. They tend to be Democrat voters. And they're the ones who are going to be going to the Democrats saying, you've got to fix this, you've got to fix this. And the Democrats have a disadvantage now because there isn't a single elected Republican official in the immediate vicinity of Washington, D.C. There's a couple that have fingers going in from New York, from Virginia, but by and large, the D.C. metro area, Washington, D.C. metro area, is represented by Democrats. So all those people who are in D.C. who are going to be impacted are going to be complaining to their Democrat representatives. And they're going to be saying, oh, we have to get paid. So the Democrats are going to hear about it. They're going to get pressured to make sure they get paid. The minute the Democrats have to shift to say, I want to make sure that these people get paid, Donald Trump wins. Because, and America wins, by the way.
Yeah.
Because then they've got skin in the game, and they have to give Donald Trump what he wants in order to get what they want. And that's how we get a wall.
But will that happen? I mean, bottom line, before you sign your name on the contract.
Okay, Zeb, part of my job is to try to make this stuff happen.
Yeah.
Will it happen? I can't tell you that because I'm not the one who makes the decision. Only the guy in the Oval Office gets to do that. But I'm spending the next 4 days driving that message and trying to get them to know it. And I'm not just talking on the radio. I'm talking to people who. I'm getting that message directly in the Oval Office.
You know,
and it's a strategic message. But bottom line is, we have to change the political dynamics.
Yep.
The Democrats view these shutdowns as having a real cost to them, because they've been willing to shut down the government for the last 8 years, threatening the Republicans that we're going to shut it down if you don't give us what we want, or if you demand to have anything that you actually want in any of these appropriations bills. Maybe 7 years, ever since the Obamacare shutdown. And the Republicans have caved every single time. We have to change that dynamic. And the only numbers that matter in the Congress are these two numbers, 34 in the Senate and 146 in the House. That's the number to sustain a veto. And during the second 2 years of the Trump presidency, those are the numbers that matter, because the only way Donald Trump's going to get his agenda over the next 2 years is by vetoing and sustaining vetoes, and in doing so, forcing the Democrats, who run both sides of the aisle, or run both the House and the Senate, one through the filibuster, the other through a majority now, to force them to create legislation that reflects his priorities is to deny them legislation that reflects theirs. So so the numbers your listeners need to know are 34 in the Senate and 146 in the House. And the 34 in the Senate becomes important also because that's the conviction on impeachment, and that's that number as well. So we have to have 34 rock-solid votes in the Senate to be able to fight this. And if we do that, Donald Trump will be coming from a position of power. If we don't, then we're going to be it's going to be a long 2 years.
You know, I would say this, and again, you can criticize my opinion on this. I'm fair game, but I look at this situation right now as almost a recurrence of history with the Alamo, when Travis took his sword and drew a line in the dirt and asked the Texicans if they would step over the line and join him in defense of the Alamo. Well, this is Trump drawing a line in the sand, saying, wait a minute, I am not going to weaken my stance from my running for president on border security and the wall. This is the way it's going to be. Take it or leave it. He cannot weaken on this, or he will never even get a smell of re-election in 2020. What are your thoughts?
Well, it didn't end up well for Travis, so I prefer not to use that analogy. But I agree with you from the standpoint of Donald Trump needs to make this the line in the sand. The Republican leadership promised him funding for the wall for 2 years. They always said, we'll fight later, we'll fight later, we'll fight later. Well, there is no more later. This is now is the time. There is no, it's harder, exponentially harder in a year. So you might as well, you've got to do now, you've got to get what you can get now. And I think the president understands that, and I think he knows he's been gamed. I mean, they've been playing three-card Monte with him, and he's sitting there and has allowed himself to have that be gamed. He's had the goodwill to allow them to promise him that they were going to do stuff, and they just never did. And the reason is, and it's very simple, and it's the president's fault. I'm going to tell you flat out, it's the president's fault. He allowed Congress to set the budget bills. He allowed them to do that. He was not actively involved. His White House was not actively involved in front. He never issued any veto threats throughout the entire time, and he expected that they would negotiate it in good faith, and they didn't. And when, a year ago, when he was faced with a funding bill that was a stack a mile high of overspending with no funding for the wall, or virtually no funding for the wall, he sat there and contemplated vetoing it, and he didn't because they said, we'll get it next time. We're going to get it in September. And so he got that hard promise for them, and guess what didn't happen in September? They didn't give him the wall. And it was never time for the Republicans in Congress to fight for the wall. Well, now it's their time, and he's got to make it their time, and he's got to understand he's a separate branch of government. There are natural kind of loggerheads that different branches of government are at. And he is an equal branch of government when it comes to making laws and the funding decisions in this country. And he has the veto power, and he has to be able to use it. He has to be willing to use it. If he's not willing to use it, then he owns it. And so far, he's not been willing to. So I'm not going to give him a free pass on this. I think it's naivety. I think he believed that they were on his side and that they would take care, that they would do it, and they didn't. So now he needs to go to Plan B, and Plan B is fight.
I thought my analogy was a good one with Travis and Bowie and Crockett because they were fighting for Texas independence, and then Sam Houston, weeks later, got a hold of Santa Ana and Remember the Alamo, and you shot my theory right out of the saddle.
Well, yeah, if you want to say San Jacinto, it's fine, but, man, Alamo turned out poorly. I'm not, listen, I'm a believer in what General Patton says in the beginning of the movie Patton. I don't know if he ever said this or not, and I'm not going to repeat it because it's a little rough, but basically he says, our job is not to die for our country, our job is to make sure the other guy dies for his country.
There you go.
So that's he uses a little rougher language, it's much more entertaining. But you know what? In politics, I'm not a big advocate of victories where you get destroyed on the battlefield and the world gets dramatically worse because you lost. Because we can't predict San Jacinto ahead. What I'm in favor of is forcing the other person to have to capitulate.
Yep.
And the Democrats want big government. They want big government. So what the president could do, there's lots of things he could do to shut down. He could sit there and he could say, okay, we're cutting the funding levels on all these agencies. I won't sign anything now unless it's got a 1% cut on the funding levels you've recommended. And cut the say just change the stakes. You don't have to accept their premise. Change the premises. Change the battlefield. That's what we have to start thinking about in terms of how to win. We can no longer allow the premises of the left, whether it's being implemented by the Republicans or the Democrats, we can no longer allow their premises to hold sway and for us to play on their playing field. We have to change the playing field. We have to retilt the playing field. And that means when, like in any negotiation, you go and you try to control the messaging, and then you change the dynamics as the negotiation goes, and you take things away that they want if the negotiation goes away. For instance, Nancy Pelosi has a whole bunch of stuff in this budget she wants.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you just pull it away. Chuck Schumer has stuff in this budget he wants. What you do is you pull it away. Say, okay, well, we're not going to sign anything with this in it, and you make it all about Chuck Schumer getting his personal little deals. You take away their goodies one by one, very publicly, and say, well, I won't sign a bill that has this in it. So you force them to rewrite a bill that doesn't have the Pelosi stuff, doesn't have the Schumer stuff, and has a wall, and you jam it down their throats, and then they never play again because they lose. That's what we have to do. We have to quit playing for a tie. We have to start playing to win.
Well, and I totally agree with everything you said, and it's too bad that each and every Democrat can't be furnished with a copy and forced to read The Art of the Deal with Donald Trump, and maybe that might help soften some of the negotiations. But some of the verbiage that comes out of Pelosi and Schumer and the changes that they try to portray to the American public, like, oh, well, this money would never go for the wall, but it would go for fencing upgrades. That really bothered me when I heard that.
Yeah, well, it's we're seeing the death of the 7-year-old girl from dehydration because her father and the group they were with chose to go across one of the most difficult parts of desert in the world. And she didn't get enough water during that time period. And by the time the Border Patrol, they got to the Border Patrol, it was impossible to save her. It was so remote that it was an hour to helicopter to get an helicopter in from El Paso to get to central area, I guess central on the New Mexico Arizona border, as well as the Mexican border. So it's if there was a wall, you know what people wouldn't be doing? They wouldn't be trying to cross the border in the most remote, dry, dangerous places in the world. They would be going to places where you had points of entry and applying the right way. And so no wall encourages people who don't know any better to be led by people with bad intentions, and little girls die because of that.
Absolutely.
So this wall, the failure of funding the wall, is that Pelosi and Schumer have stopped. It is directly responsible for the psychology that led for people to go and attempt to cross the border at a place where it's just not hospitable for humans.
Absolutely. Real quick, I've only got a minute and a half left, but I want you to respond to this next little story, which is a big story. Today, former FBI Director James Comey is testifying again, and we'll probably hear another 258. I don't recall, I don't remember, or I absolutely do not recollect statements. What about this testimony at the Senate hearing? Kind of a waste of time?
No, I think it's important because the reason he doesn't recollect anything is because he doesn't want to contradict himself so he doesn't commit perjury. But the fact is, he went off and spoke to MSNBC and bragged about how they set up Mike Flynn. He bragged about how, he bragged about a lot of stuff in front of an audience publicly. And I think it's time that this guy, this arrogant mug, gets humiliated. And if we actually have prosecutors who are doing their job, and I hope they are, this guy will be on the pointy end of the spear with an indictment of his own that he's going to get to defend because every time he testifies before Congress, if he even gets a little bit of it different, we should hold him to the Flynn standard. He gets a little bit of it different. He needs to be taken up and prosecuted for lying to Congress and destroyed. I mean, they've set up the rules. James Comey broke the rules. James Comey manipulated the rules for political ends, and James Comey needs to go down.
And the choir sang, "Amen, brother." I love it. Listen, we're going to be off now for about 2 weeks through Christmas and New Year's and be back on January 2nd and the following week. But I want to extend to you, Richard Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government, you have been A+ on this program. Hopefully we'll get you back right after we start up again, and Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Merry Christmas to you and all of your audience, and producers are so nice to when they call and track me down. It's truly one of the joys of my week, and just have a great time. And remember this: nothing else. God's in control. Send Christ to be born for us, and for all these fights, ultimately, that's the thing that matters.
Amen.
So take this time to refresh, reflect, and renew. And when we come back on January 2, let's be ready to get back down to business.
What a great guy. Thank you. Merry Christmas again and Happy New Year, Richard Manning. Thank you for being on the show, and enjoy the holiday season for what it really is. Thank you very much. Great guy. And I'm glad to have him on my program, and I mean that sincerely. Okay, let's pay some bills here. Don't forget the Urgent Cares, Riverview Urgent Care of Burley at 382 North Overland in Burley, Urgent Care of Twin Falls, 2392 Addison Avenue East, and Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Oh my goodness, absolutely, your health is their number one priority, and they want to make sure that they're available for you. Absolutely, they strive to provide the highest quality of care for you while keeping the cost to a minimum. And they extend to you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from the Urgent Cares in Burley, Twin Falls, and Jerome. Okay, some other great folks that I want to highlight and feature right now. And that's, of course, Joel Heward, his family, and his staff over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, caring people, really community-oriented to serve you, your family, in a time of need when there's the passing of a loved one. And they always treat you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please remember the number 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Really nice people. With that being said, we're just a moment away from getting our next guest on the program, and I absolutely can't wait to get him on the show this morning because it's going to be about a topic that I really enjoy talking about and try to put asunder in the idiocy and incompetency of global warming / climate change. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Don't forget our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Holy moly! This is Santa's favorite place to shop. And I want to thank Jeff and LeGrand. They came over to our remote broadcast last week, dropped in, and had a chance to visit with them. Well, at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, they're providing the biggest savings, the best values on everything for the beautification and the comfortization of your home. No money down, no interest, up to 48 months on approved credit. Ho, 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 says Santa Claus. You better get on in there and check out all the sofa buys, the dining room sets, and, of course, don't forget all the flooring, all the carpet, everything at Santa's favorite place to shop. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Really good people. Let's see. I think we're going to go to the phone line right now. And I don't believe I've had this gentleman on before, but I have had many members of the Heartland Institute. This man is the science director at the Heartland Institute. He's the editor of Rational Readings on Environmental Concerns. And we say good morning to Dr. Jay Lehr. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I couldn't be better. Good morning. It's a pleasure being here. Idaho is one of my favorite places.
Well,
being at Sun Valley most every winter, and I once wrote an article saying that I thought McCall, Idaho might be the most beautiful place on earth.
Well, evidently you do know the state, and if you ever get down here to where the poor people live in southern Idaho, be sure and look us up. I'll try to buy you a plate of beans.
Well, I always fly into Boise, so that's pretty southern.
All right. Dr. Lehr, I'm very thankful to have you on the program, and I've had many, many others of your ilk that I have the utmost respect for. And I have been fighting this incompetency and this idiocy of global warming / climate change for a long, long time on this program. I will tell you right from my heart, the bottom line is I think it's nothing more than a way for the left and liberals to have complete control over the populace, and that's why I wanted to get you on the program this morning to get your thoughts.
Well, you are 100% correct. I couldn't say it better. It is the biggest fraud ever perpetrated on society in the history of the world, and its intention is to do just what you say, to defeat capitalism, install socialism, grow government, and take away individual freedom. It is terrible. It is really the ultimate battle of good versus evil. I don't expect it to go away anytime soon because we've been battling evil since the beginning of time, and we always will. This has just turned out to be an amazing mechanism for the left to try to put over on us and convince the public they should give up their freedoms and they're just scared that the world's coming to an end because of carbon dioxide, which is totally absurd. It actually has zero impact on the climate of the Earth, none at all. But they do this trying to scare people. I mean, it's arrogant to think that man has greater power over nature, over the sun and the oceans and the winds, that we do something that can alter the climate of the Earth is totally absurd. They have no physical evidence. They pay people huge sums of money to create equations that predict that what the temperature will be 10 years, 20 years, a century. It's absolutely nuts. And what you're doing is phenomenal, trying to get your listeners to understand this terrible fraud.
You know, Dr. Lehrer, I'm a Christian, proud of it, will never back up from it, and I say on the broadcast almost every week, many, many times, that God has complete control. Climate change has always been a fact with nature and the way the planets and the way the weather patterns have been. We've always seen change and consistent change. And for somebody to say that they, mankind, can control or try to control basically the hand on the thermostat, that offends me and it scares me, because once man starts to mingle with something that's completely out of their education and control, this could be the end of society as we know it.
I could not say it better. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, everybody should be fearful of it, and everybody should battle when they hear people pursuing this fraud and talking about man controlling the weather. They should fight back, and your words from a Christian standpoint, I think, are very effective. That to think that we can interfere with the powers that truly control the universe, and that's why I like to use the word arrogance, because the arrogance that they put forth is mind-boggling.
You know, let me ask this, Dr. Lehrer, and with your expertise, I've asked a lot of other people, Tom Harris, etc., on my program, but what? What do they want? Do they want a ideal mean temperature of 72 all the way from Moscow and Russia all the way to Birmingham, Alabama? What do they want, and what do they think is going to be that appropriate?
Well, you raise a very interesting point. It's absurd to think there is a temperature that everybody would be most comfortable with. That isn't the case. But you really said it earlier. What they really want has nothing to do with the temperature of the planet. It has nothing to do with weather or climate. It really has only to do with eliminating capitalism, redistributing wealth, and installing socialism. Quite frankly, I've been at this for over 30 years in this battle, and I really think they're evil. I think these people, by and large, have psychological problems that they're taking out on the rest of the world. So I don't think in their heart of hearts they give a damn about what the temperature of the planet is. It's a construct to take away our freedom, to grow government and eliminate capitalism, which is the only system that has floated the boat of all economic levels on our planet.
You take the crackpots of Al Gore and Tom Steyer's, of course, the big money behind all this, and then you go on down the food chain to someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that has the combined IQ of a bicycle spoke, and all of these people really preaching to you and I how we need to get rid of fossil fuels, and everybody basically rely on wind and solar with no regard to what in the heck are we going to do to produce our agricultural products. How are we going to live? How are we going to heat our homes? What are we going to do, live in a cave and burn buffalo dung? These people are so almost bordering on insanity, it offends me.
Well, you've named three people who have different motivations. With Al Gore, it's all about money. He's coming close to having made $1 billion in this scam. With Steyer, he's a rich guy that just wants to control the world. I'm sure he doesn't believe all this stuff. It's just something he's using his money to show influence. With the Ocasio, I think your analogy to her intelligence level of a bicycle spoke is extremely accurate. I mean, she is just a moron who has realized by spouting off this insanity, she's gotten attention and even got a seat in the Congress. It's really nutty. But we have to battle these people. There's no common sense behind what they do, and it just doesn't have to do with the science. The only people that have to do with the science are the academic and some of the environmental groups that take in $6 billion a year to turn out these equations. So with them, it's all about the money, and I guess they can convince themselves that there might be something to it, and therefore take the money and write the equations and come out with these models that have never been correct on any prediction forward or backward, and yet the government keeps pouring money into them. But by and large, everybody has a different motivation, all of which I collectively say are evil.
You know, when you, as a doctor of this science, are put forth with information to where they say, oh, we're all going to be with the green energy program of solar and wind in so many years, so much time, etc. You know, I'll go back to agriculture for a minute. We have the greatest farmers and ranchers in agriculture of anywhere in the world. And I can guarantee you, Dr. Lair, you're not going to push a John Deere tractor down the field at a potato field with a great big propeller on its backside. We need fossil fuels. We need to keep agriculture, and we're not going to get it with a green energy program.
Well, let me add this. It's physically impossible to run this country on wind and solar. All we'll do is bankrupt the country on the way to doing it. But what these people don't understand is you cannot have a solar farm, you cannot have wind turbines without 100% running backup of fossil fuel power plants, whether they're natural gas or oil or coal. As everybody knows, the wind doesn't always blow and the sun doesn't always shine, and you can't let the electric grid go down and have blackups. So with all the wind and solar they want to produce, they can't shut down a single power plant because there has to be 100% backup for every kilowatt they think they're producing on wind and solar. It can't ever happen, but on the way, our electric bills will go up, up, up. Our factories will be limited tremendously. It's crazy, and this is the story we have to tell everybody in the street so they know their way of life is being threatened.
How do we fight back? And I'm not trying to make this kind of like vanilla pudding. I'm asking a question that they, being the Steyrs and others and the Gore, they have the money to perpetrate their mindless thinking in the media, which saps it up like a sponge. But how do we fight back? It's being thrust upon us to the point where they're saying in California, you will not build a brand new home unless you put it all solar panels. I mean, how do we fight back against these people?
Well, I mean, I've been with the Heartland Institute for 25 years, and I travel the country giving lectures. Last week I was lecturing at Texas A&M University and the University of Wyoming, and these are tough, liberal universities, and yet I think I made a real inroad in lecturing to them. I'm writing 3 or 4 articles for newspapers every single week. I mean, that's pretty much what the Heartland Institute does, is putting out information, and we think we're making an impact with people who read our stuff on the internet or in print. You just got to get up every day. You're doing God's work. I mean, what you're doing on this program with your listeners is one of the many aspects that is what we're doing, and the war will never end. I mean, I don't. In fact, if we ever bury the global warming myth, they'll come up with something else, because their intention has nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with facts. They want to change the way of life of the whole world, and I think they want to do that because they have truly psychological problems, and they're fighting out at the rest of the people. They can't deal with their own problems.
Dr. Lair, when you look at the overall premise of global warming / climate change and the push and the promotion of it, and it starts in our schools, it starts with as early as the kindergarten and the grade school and the junior high school, college, and we're turning out students that absolutely hate America, they hate the capitalistic system, and they absolutely think that we need to do with a lot less. I'm promoting that we need to do more for the future to help all of mankind. mankind. But these kids are going out of school with this kind of a philosophy that is regressive. How do we change this?
Well, that's absolutely true. Now, education is one of the things we do at Heartland Institute. We put out a monthly magazine called School Reform News. It goes to every elected state official in America to try to point out to them how bad the government schools are. And we do have a problem. We're graduating people that have, been trained in the wrong ideas for a dozen years in their schools. We just have to keep writing more material and having more radio programs with hosts as smart as you are to work our way back. It's not something. I think Mr. Trump has done an amazing job in his 2 years in office, and I hope he gets 6 more years. And I think little by little, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. It's not going to be an easy victory, but I'm an optimist, and as you well know, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. And there are a lot of good people doing a lot of good things, but there's no question it's an uphill battle.
Let me ask you this. Explain to my audience the Heartland Institute. I've had other representatives on from your organization. And can my audience call? Can they get information? How do they obtain real, honest information on this subject? What would you suggest to them?
Well, we have a website. It's Heartland. It's www.heartland.org. It's HEARTLAND. We have thousands of documents, and again, we work in 4 areas: environment and climate. We work in education, in healthcare, and tax and budget. We have literally thousands of documents that they can take from our website, and they can call the organization and talk to me and other people in our group anytime. That's what we're here for. We are a free market organization that tries as hard as we can to keep the government out of our pocketbook and to maintain individual freedom. And the job, there's the battle of good versus evil. There can be no winners. It's just something that's going to go on. You and I are battling for good against people that want to subdue freedom among the world and among other people, and we've just got to get up every day and go into battle and do the best we can and recharge our batteries at night, go back during the day. That's what I've been doing my entire professional career.
Let me ask you one final thought. I'm almost out of time, but when you hear New York Times opinion writers like Paul Krugman that has called America part of the new axis of evil because we're not buying into the climate, what he calls climate catastrophe, I certainly hope you have time to sit down and write or pen a note to the New York Times and tell not only the people of the New York area, but also Mr. Krugman, how absolutely far off on the left they have fallen.
Well, the Times is just a disgusting newspaper, and Paul Krugman is about as evil as a person can be, spreading lies and socialism, if not full-out communism. Just an absolute terrible person. And we write them all the time. I mean, you can't really get anywhere with them. It's a totally socialist organization. All we can do is just try to hold the line by constantly putting out publications explaining the faults of the New York Times. But we do it literally on a daily basis.
You know, I've really enjoyed having you on the air, the science director at the Heartland Institute, Dr. Jay Lehr, and please, sir, accept my invitation to come back after the new year. I've found you to be a great guest, and I'd love to have you back on the show.
Well, I can't. The things that you've been saying in this conversation, you're spot on, and I'd be delighted to join you absolutely anytime.
Merry Christmas, sir.
Same to you.
Thank you very much. A gentleman that we're going to have back on the program with the Heartland Institute, the science director, Dr. Jay Lehr, and I really, really appreciate his comments. I want to just say this, and we're hoping that it all works out. At 10:06 this morning, Deanne and I try. We really try to get the best of guests on this program. This last guest was indicative of that. And at 10:06 this morning, we are scheduled to be talking to Charles Krauthammer's son, Daniel Krauthammer, about a new book that's out called The Point of It All. And I feel blessed that we were given the connections on how to get these various people on the air, and I certainly hope you enjoy these folks. And we're going to try even harder for everyone that's in the news coming up in the new year. Right now, I want to extend Merry Christmas from Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I know the other day at the remote, and I got to say this, I was embarrassed. I was doing everything ad lib because I didn't have all the papers in front of me on the table over there at Denny's, and I kept missing Goodwin's name, and I apologize. I'm so sorry. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. I'm on my knees humbly saying I'm sorry. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company for the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, retirement planning, business consulting, all of this and more. Please work with the best, and they are, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. Here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like a chance of rain or snow showers are in the forecast as we begin another work week and the final week before Christmas. We are looking at a 50% chance of rain or snows, mostly cloudy skies, expecting a high of 41. Winds out of the east-northeast, right around 5 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, low of 28. For tomorrow, a chance of rain or snow showers in the morning, mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon, high of 40. That could possibly continue for tomorrow night with a low of 33 by Wednesday. We're going to see some sunshine, high of 42, overnight low of 28, and Thursday mostly sunny and 41. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at 3.
Oh, Gina, thank you very much. Merry Christmas wishes from Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. Yes, they can help people starting a business. And oh, by the way, it's getting close, real close to the end of the year. Make sure your tax records for your business are all set to go. Call them. Questions, they can answer them. Absolutely. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company with offices in Burley and Rupert. I'd love to have a couple of calls right now, so give me a jingle on the landline at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, don't forget Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, Nick and Randy, the whole staff, everybody over there wishing you a Merry Christmas. Don't forget they've got all the snowmobiles on display. Look at that showroom, and you're going to say, how'd they get them all in here anyway? Well, I'll tell you what. Great folks at Let's Ride. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And they've got all your accessories, great Christmas gift-giving ideas. And, of course, too, the best doggone service department around to keep you running. And they got snowplows, too, for your four-wheelers. I got one on mine already. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Yes, sirree, buddy. That's where the fun is sold. Really good folks. Your turn. Call me, 436-2244. Got to get this in real quick. There will be a Christmas Eve and communion service at the Rupert United Methodist Church at 605 H Street, Monday, December 24th, Christmas Eve at 6:30 p.m., and the community is invited to attend. That's over at the Rupert United Methodist Church. Don't forget that. And real quick, when you think about life insurance and health insurance and retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more, don't forget to try to pick up the phone, call this number, 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. These are the people that care. These are the people that are dedicated to serving you. I know because they've helped us. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Please, like I said, pick up the phone, make the appointment, call them, 436-4424. Wonderful people, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Like to hear what you have to say? Give us a jingle. One of the stories that I didn't have a lot of time for earlier this morning that we're going to be doing some more research into, one of our great soldiers, a Silver Star Medal winner of honor, Distinguished Service Award recipient. Now they're saying 8 years after this happened that this soldier, may be put up on murder charges Oh, who did he kill? They're thinking about putting him up on murder charges for killing a Taliban bomb maker. An enemy that was trying to kill more of our men and women of this country. There's a lot to this story, a lot that we want to find out and highlight, and I don't have the time right now in this segment. But I would just say the rules of war and killing and what we put our soldiers through, both men and women, to protect not only other countries, but also our great country of the United States. And then we pull them back and say, you did an evil thing in the perhaps killing of the enemy. War is hell. And we have put these people in a dangerous death situation. And then we prosecute them? Caller, quickly, I've got 2 minutes left. Go ahead. Caller, go ahead, please, quickly.
Okay. Pardon me, Zeb. I didn't mean that. Just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And thanks for the good people you have on your programs. I appreciate that.
You know, I know this voice, and I want to extend to you and your lovely wife the very best of Christmas wishes and a very Happy New Year. It's been way too long since we've had a chance to visit, and hopefully we can correct that during the break between Christmas and New Year's. I'd love to sit down and visit with you, my dear friend. Merry Christmas to you.
Well, we appreciate you, Zeb, and thanks for the various issues that you bring. And I can tell you that if we don't close the border and keep Trump strong, we're going to lose this nation.
Absolutely. Again, to you and your wife, the best of Christmas cheer and well wishes for the new year. Representative Bert Stevenson, I think an awful lot of you, my dear friend. Take care.
Former representative, but I love and appreciate the people of this valley.
God bless you, Bert. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just really honestly love those folks. He and his lovely wife, Elaine, they're special to me. Very special. We're going to take a little break, and like I said, next hour, we're supposed to be getting a call from Daniel Krauthammer, editor of The Point of It All, story, speeches, etc., written by his father, Charles Krauthammer. I'm really looking forward to that interview. And then at 10:30, one of my favorite all-time guests, and boy, she can tell it like it is, Brigitte Gabriel is going to be on at 10:30. Woo! Have we got some action-packed people coming on the program this morning. Right now, I'm going to say have a great day. Leave the dial right here. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Now the news from CBS. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning on this December 17th. My goodness, next week Christmas, and a Merry Christmas to all of you this morning as I about ripped up the wires on my computer. Thank you. Nice move, Zeb. Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires, and also some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, Merry Christmas wishes go out from the Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, representative from District 27, rancher up in Oakley, and he and his family extend to you, everyone, very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke. And our friend Rick over in the crew over at Mountain Transmissions at 1146 East Main in Burley, one-stop transmission repair facility with more than 30 years in the industry. Mountain Transmissions wishing you a Merry Christmas, as do the great folks over at Pump Service. I know they're the best. Same-day service. By golly, they can take care of you. The Baker Brothers at 103 West, 500 South in Burley. You be sure and give them a call, 678-9042. Pump Service, Merry Christmas. And last but not least, Zach and the whole crew over at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Need new flooring, doors, or more? Check out Minnecasia Sales at 1321 East Main in Burley. All of them wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Right now, I'm going to check with Wheels over at our main studio. Wheels, do we have our guest on the air?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Wheels. I appreciate your help. There's a young man on the program next that I want to say this as kind of a beginning to our conversation, that I had the utmost respect for his father. I had the utmost respect for his writings and his ability on television to convey his points very eloquently. And we're going to be talking right now to Daniel Krauthammer, and in regards to a book called The Point of It All, co-written, basically. Charles Krauthammer wrote the book, and Daniel put it all together. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Doing okay, and thank you so much for having me on today.
Well, I know you've been doing a lot of interviews about this book, The Point of It All, A Lifetime of Great Loves and Endeavors by Charles Krauthammer, your father, and yourself. And I guess first and foremost, I've got to ask you, if you don't mind telling our audience what it was like, not only taking on this task, but knowing that your father was having a bout with a terminal disease that would take his life. And for that last year, you were right at the bedside trying to get everything put together for this book. You, sir, to me, are extremely tough. I don't know if I could have done that.
Yeah, well, you're right. It was a very hard task to take on, and a hard time in general. The book, as you mentioned, is something that my dad had started before his health crisis struck, and he had finished most of what's currently in the book before that point. But then he was in the hospital for 10 months, and I was by his side that whole time. And I helped him while he was there to continue working on it and chip away at the progress. And that's where I became kind of acquainted with everything he was working on and what his ideas for the book were and goals for it. And it was only at the very end when he was given his final prognosis, and he knew that he wouldn't be able to finish it for himself. He then asked me and entrusted it to me to finish the book for him. So these last 6 months now, since then, that's been the top priority and most important thing really in my life, has been completing that for him and completing it up to the standards that he set and that his lasting work deserves.
Daniel, let me ask you, if you don't mind giving us and my audience a little bit of a refresher course about your father, Charles Krauthammer. I saw him on the television as who could be a very steely-eyed, firm individual on his point of view. And then at other times, one that would have a great big smile and a laugh and absolutely look like the warmest human being on the face of the earth. Where was the dividing line there? What did you as his son see him as every day?
Yeah, no, I mean you captured it well there. He was that whole spectrum, and I think that's actually captured in the book too. That everything from the most serious, sometimes life and death questions, to just pure joy and passion and fun. And I think he was a very full person, very well rounded, and the book also reflects that of how much it encapsulates all the different aspects of life. But I think he was a very happy, optimistic, and just deeply good person in his personal life. And I think that extends, and a lot of people saw that on TV, all the fun he would have with his colleagues and friends there. But he also took his job very seriously. I think he felt it was a great privilege and an honor to be able to do what he did, which he loved. But he really viewed it as a duty. If he was going to comment on politics and on the events of the day, he wanted to make the best, most honest, most logical and concise and convincing arguments that he could, because he knew they would have a real effect on real policies and real people, and he didn't take that lightly. So when he was, as you said, arguing on a point that he thought mattered, he was as serious as could be. But he also recognized that, those questions matter. Our politics are very important, but the ultimate point of getting the politics right, as he put it in this book, is so that we can all live our lives and choose our own paths and find our own sources of joy. So I think, he encapsulated all of that in how he lived and in how he wrote.
Let me ask you this, Daniel. The book itself, the point of it all, a lifetime of great loves and endeavors. From your father's viewpoint and yours to finish this great task up, what's the number one point that you're trying to get across to the reading audience?
Well, as you could imagine, with a title like The Point of It All, it's not exactly a narrow focus. And he ranges all the way from what you'd expect from him in terms of topics of politics, foreign and domestic, big questions of world history and democracy, but all the way to his fun passions like baseball and chess, and then to very personal parts about what fatherhood meant to him and friendship and kind of what he saw as the source of a purposeful life. And I think the point he was getting at was, that this all matters, that we each need to choose our own path in life, find our own meaning, and be true to ourselves. But that, that's something we have to be grateful for, that we have the freedom to choose these paths and to chart our own destinies. And part of that gratitude should go to our country and our political system that's built on freedom and individual liberty, and that we all need to remember how essential and fragile that is, and to do what we can to preserve and improve our politics. And so all of that together, I think, was all tied in his mind. And I think in the book it comes out how linked all of these seemingly disparate areas are by his own personal philosophy.
Let me state this. Every time I watched him on television or read some of his works, he was one of the smartest, and I mean this in all respect, one of the smartest individuals on any topic that I have ever heard or read. But going home and sitting at the kitchen table with you, the son, and the rest of the family, what was the image at home versus his very all-knowing image in front of the public?
Well, he could still be a bit of a know-it-all at home. I think we were very close, and he was a wonderful father. But I think a lot of what you would see on TV is how he was at home, too. I mean, we talked about a lot of those things. There was never kind of a debate, but he was passionate about it, had a lot of fun talking about it, and so did I and my mother. So, all of that was kind of part and parcel. But we had, every other kind of ridiculous, silly, fun thing you'd imagine from any happy childhood of going to ball games and movies and long car trips and beach vacations and everything else under the sun. So, I consider myself extremely lucky to have had a father like him. But I don't imagine it's all that different than anyone else who has a very fond childhood to look back on.
Absolutely. Daniel, was there anything at the time of compilation of all these stories and speeches and everything else that your father had put together and had accomplished, when all of a sudden you went, gee, I didn't know that? Did you have a learning experience about your own father putting all this together?
Yeah, so that came about, I think, largely because as I mentioned, he had put most of it together, but there was still a lot to be done, a lot of kind of holes to be filled, so to speak. So I went back and read everything he had ever written, essentially, which is almost 2,000 columns and essays and speeches. So that's quite a lot. And I'd say the things that struck me were, one, just how incredibly consistent and principled he was over the span of 4 decades, because that's how long he was writing. I'd sometimes read something from 30 years ago and do a double take and think, could this really have been written, 1980, whatever? It feels like it could have been written yesterday. It's so, it's so relevant now, and also it so matches exactly what he wrote last year that's in the book or something like that. And I think that sticking to his core beliefs and principles is just I always knew that, but it really was driven home for me how much he devoted himself to that and saw that as a duty. And I think also there were some interviews and speeches I hadn't seen before where he talked about some of these more deep, ruminations on life, so to speak, and what mattered to him and the idea of living an honest and full life and charting your own path. That I think he lived that example, and that I knew that from just who he was, but he put it in words that I found so beautiful and moving and even poetic at times that I was so glad that I found those and was able to put some of them into the book as well.
Daniel, I have to, in some respect, put you on the spot here for a moment. There were many times on the Bret Baier program in the afternoon that your father voiced his opinion against Donald Trump and the administration. Do you think that if your father was still here today, with the transitions and changes on some of the philosophies and some of the good things that this administration has put together and accomplished, would he have changed his mind?
Well, I don't think he would have changed his mind, but I think his mind was always very open and honest about exactly what he thought. And you can see that in the writings and what he said at the time. And in the book, there's quite a few articles that do touch on President Trump, and I think they're quite representative. That, as you said, he certainly didn't pull any punches, and he was very critical of the president when he thought he was doing something wrong or engaging in follies, as my father would put it. But he also said when he thought the president did something right, or that the administration was making the right policy decisions. And I think, he viewed his job as not being on one team or the other, so to speak, or choosing sides and defending. It was his job was he had these principles that he believed in and fought for, and he was going to argue out to the logical endpoint, no matter who was in charge. And I think that's quite well shown in the book and in how he presented his arguments. And I think, I can't speak on his behalf now, but I think if readers go back and look at that, they can draw their own conclusions on how my dad would approach things now. Because, again, I think he stuck always very true to those core principles, and it's kind of the facts of current events that would change and that he would speak of as they changed and remark on as he saw was reflective of what the right and wrong things were to do.
Daniel, I'm 71 years old, and I have never in my lifetime seen a more divisive politic that we have in this country today, Democrat versus Republican, vice versa, the issues, etc. Did your dad think at any time that it was irreparable, or can we put this wheel back together and get it rolling downhill? What are your thoughts?
I've thought about this quite a bit, and I think he was certainly frustrated at times by exactly what you're pointing out, and I know I feel, and I'm sure all your listeners feel sometimes, of the heightened volume level of a lot of noise and not much thought, so to speak. More and more sound bites and tweets and so forth. But I think really the saving grace, and it gives me hope sometimes. My dad was truly an optimist. He was an absolute realist, that's for sure. There was not an ounce of naivete in him, and that's incredibly clear reading his work and seeing what he said on TV. But he was also deeply optimistic, particularly about America and our future. And there's one speech, actually, that's included in the book. It's called Constitutions, Conservatism, and the Genius of the Founders, where he talks about his political philosophy and in the American context. And at the end, he talks about American history and what he felt was almost a providential sense of history in America, of how at all these important junctures we had leaders and we had a people who followed the right path and discovered these core truths that we build our society on. And he expressed a hope, he said, in the bedrock decency of the American people to get things right, to redeem our history where we've made mistakes, and to inspire each other. And it just makes me smile and feel so hopeful every time I look at that speech. And it gives me hope and faith when it's feeling gloomy and looking a little hopeless in the current state of affairs. But my dad had such a great perspective on history in the biggest sense, and knowing both how lucky we are and how well set up we are, and how blessed we are really with our system, with our politics, that even if things are not so great, we have the wherewithal to fix it, and the kind of politics that allows us to self-correct and to get things right and to get them better over time. So that makes me hopeful for the future.
You know, Daniel, you started at the top of the mountain working with one of the very, very best, your father, Charles Krauthammer. But what about your future? I mean, what's in store for you? I mean, you're a very, very sharp young man, degrees from Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, etc. What are you planning on doing in the future? Continue writing? Basically, what does your life scheme look like?
That's a very good question, and one I wish I could answer for myself fully at this point. My own life for the last many years has been in a different realm, working in the private sector. But I've always cared about these issues and things that my father wrote about and talked about as well. And I've written myself from time to time when I felt I had something substantial to contribute. This last year and a half, as we talked about, were very difficult for me, being by my dad's side and then working on the book. And I've made a promise of sorts to myself to, once this book is kind of safely shepherded to the goal line, to step back and take a breath and refocus on my own life. So I think I need to take a beat to figure out what path I can contribute the most on and how I can best really do something good with my own life and serve these ideals. It may not be exactly the same, but I care deeply about all these ideas, and so I'll be happy to report back when I've been able to figure that out for myself.
Well, I want to get the particulars out for information on where people can obtain the book. Give us the outlet points that are most well known, if you would, please.
Sure thing. Yeah, I'd say that the number one place I'd point people towards is my father's official website, charleskrauthammer.com. And the book is out in stores everywhere, but at that website they can find which stores have it, they can order it online, all the links are right there, and it also has a lot of resources about my dad's life and career in general, archives of his other work, videos, speeches, tributes that were written to him. So charleskrauthammer.com is definitely where I would point anyone who's interested to learn more.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to have this man on our program this morning and talking about the book called The Point of It All, A Lifetime of Great Loves and Endeavors by Charles Krauthammer and Daniel Krauthammer. Daniel, you are excellent, and I certainly hope you'll call back in whenever I get a time to peruse the book, read it. I'd like to have you back. But until that time, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thank you for being on my program.
Merry Christmas, and thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. A great young man. I've seen him on television many, many times talking about his working with his father, Charles Krauthammer. And his father passed away June of this last summer and took on a daunting task, a really hard task of putting everything together in the finalization of the book. Charles Krauthammer's The Point of It All, A Lifetime of Great Loves and Endeavors. And Daniel, his son, you have a lot of respect the way he handled that situation and finalized that great book. Wow. Let's see, what else have I got here? I want to remind you, if I don't knock all the papers on the floor, that on Thursdays, and this Thursday, I think Debbie Critchfield is going to be coming by our studio for our Christmas, kind of our open house Christmas party on the air. And, of course, our Cache County School Days brought to you by some really neat folks. And that's, of course, A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness, all the wonderfully quality and reasonably priced clothes. And, of course, don't forget to, let's see, the superintendent's coming over. I didn't get that note, I'm sorry. And don't forget, they've got all the games and the puzzles and the toys and the books, everything over at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And that segment, Cache County School Days, is on Thursdays at 10:10. Now, Deanne just handed me this note, and it says that Superintendent Shank will be coming by, I understand, and he'll be on the program. No, he's going to be calling in. And no, she's going to be in Boise. I'm reading your note backward here. And so it will be Superintendent Jim Shank. Thank you very much for being on the show this coming Thursday. Whew, we got through that, Martha. Okay, let's see what else have we got cooking here. In just a few minutes after the 10:30 break, we are going to have one of my favorite friends. And I've known her for years and years, and that's Brigitte Gabriel, and we're certainly looking forward to having her on the air. She's got another brand new New York Times best-selling book called Rise, in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedoms, and we're certainly looking forward to hearing more about that book. I mentioned this last hour. I'm going to mention it again. I'm knocking things all over the floor here. That the Christmas Eve and communion services will be at the Rupert United Methodist Church at 605 H Street next Monday. Somebody called and said I said Sunday. No, I said next Monday, December 24th at 6:30 p.m. And the community is invited to attend. And they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Wheels is waiting over at our main studios, and we're going to be sending this back over, and all this week we're going to highlight our bumper music with Christmas songs and Christmas well wishes, and we want to extend to you and your family Merry, Merry Christmas. And right now, here's Wheels and the Heartbreak at the bottom of the hour.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
I am very, very fortunate on this program to have made the acquaintance of many, many great people in this United States of America, and this next lady is one of them. She is an outspoken critic of what's going on in our country with terrorism and our illegal aliens coming into this country, etc., and we need more protection for this United States of America, and she has a brand new book called Rise, in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedoms, and I'd like to acknowledge a dear friend on the program, Brigitte Gabriel. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm delighted to be back with you.
Well, I certainly up front want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, but we have some problems going on in this country right now that are worsening every day, and I point my finger directly at the Democrats and the liberals trying to destroy the fabric of security, our Constitution, and our border system, because they want everybody to come on in, and we're the sponge that's going to clean this mess up. I want to hear your remarks.
Exactly. But here's the good thing. I think the country is at a point where people who sat in the middle of the road and on the sidelines and shook their heads for decades thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening in our country, finally now are waking up and realizing we must become more involved. We must become more engaged, because we can no longer sit on the sidelines and think, oh, it's just a radical leftist minority. You know, these little crazies, they're not going to have any traction. Well, what the American people are watching right now, Zeb, is that the Democrat Party is no longer the Democrat Party of John F. Kennedy. To give you a perfect example, in the last election just last month, 40 candidates on the Democratic side ran as socialists. 40. We're not talking about one or two, who are the exception. We're not talking about, Cortez, whatever her name, from New York, that people made fun of and thought, oh, that's just the election. It was by a fluke that she won, which is true. But she represents the face of the new Democrat Party. And that's why the American people, the patriots who are listening to us right now, need to understand that your phone calls to Congress matter, your letters to your members of Congress matter, your activism, your engagement in your local community, showing up to your city council, meeting your local elected officials, becoming involved in grassroots operations that are standing up for the defense of the country is vital especially this week as Congress reconvenes to discuss the border wall funding, and they have to make a decision before Christmas, so your phone calls to Congress matter.
Absolutely. You know, the title of the book, Rise in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedoms. You know, I really am concerned, Brigitte, because I don't think that you have to look very far, and you can see the demise of many of our principles and our values and our constitutional values and the way America was that made it great. They're on the decline, and how can we turn this thing around?
I go back, Zeb, to people becoming involved. You see, on the right side, you know, those of us, like our listeners right now, they are educated more than 95% of the American population, but they do not know what to do. They understand the issues. They hear about the issues. Obviously, they're listening to you and the experts that you bring on the show because they want to be informed. On the other side, when you look at the left in our country, they are mobilized, they are activated, they are engaged. You ask any 22-year-old nitwit about socialism, they can't even answer you what socialism is. Yet they are mobilized. They know how to show up to meetings. They know how to march on Washington, D.C. and demonstrate. They show up and block streets. They show up and block highways. They destroy property. You know, in my book, Rise, I discuss how our society changed, and I say, how did we go from the raising children with the stories of George Washington and the cherry tree, and I shall never tell a lie, how could we go from that into groups like Antifa, who went to American schools, who were born and raised in America, and who feel they can show up, block highways, disrupt the peace, show up to demonstrations with machetes and brass knuckles, and attack Americans. But this transformation did not happen overnight. And right now, those who are on our side need to become more engaged. And what I detail in my book, Rise, and that's exactly why I titled my book Rise, Rise in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedom, is to give good-hearted Americans who love this country basically a roadmap as to what they can do in their own little ways. At the end of every chapter, no matter what I'm discussing, every chapter, at the end of it, I have a section titled Rise Up and Act, where I give people ideas and tips as to what they can do to make a difference for the country. 3 things you can do under 10 minutes that will make a difference for the country, and you can do them while you're sipping your cup of coffee in the morning in your pajamas sitting in front of your computer. And let me share with you how easy it is to make a difference right now, because this week we are on a deadline. Congress reconvenes on Wednesday to make a decision about the funding for the wall. We need people to call their member of Congress. People can go to our website, actforamerica.org, actforamerica.org. Click on Contact Congress. Enter your zip code. We give you the names of your elected officials, their emails, their phone numbers, their address. We even have a pre-written letter for you. You can send with the click of a button. Let your member of Congress hear from you. We make it as easy for you as possible. You don't even have to think. You don't even have to write a letter. You don't even have to go Googling and searching for their emails, addresses, or their phone numbers. Go to actforamerica.org, click on Contact Congress, and make sure you make a difference for the country today.
Brigitte, when you were writing this book, Rise, in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedoms, it must have really shocked you, scared you, and angered you as to our education system in this country actually contributing to our own demise, the way they are telling these kids in the schools, be it elementary or universities, America's bad and all the past of America should be shamed, all of this. Where in the world did we let this problem with our education system fail? Why did we let this happen?
Well, it started, Zeb, a long, long time ago. In my book, Rise, I have a chapter titled Operation Indoctrination, where I discuss how our children over the last 30, 40 years have been systematically brainwashed by leftist professors, but specifically in the last 20 years since September 11th. And the reason why we saw a transformation since September 11th, because not only we were dealing with the left, but we were also dealing with the Islamic lobby who was funding the transformation of the education in our system. And to give you an idea of how the left is transforming our society, there's a specific book I discuss in my book, Rise. The book is titled A People's History of the United States. It's written by Howard Zinn. It has had a major impact on our history and how history is taught today. That has shaped the mind of many young Americans. This book, by the way, has sold over 2 million copies since it was published, and it is still required reading from high school to college. The entire book is an attempt to prove that America is an evil empire based on white supremacy and the oppression and genocide of minorities. It mentions absolutely nothing about America's exceptionalism. Then, the author of the book was open about the fact that his goal in writing the book was to start a, quote, quiet revolution, as he called it. And that is exactly what is happening right now in our society and what's transforming our society. The issue of textbook brainwash has gotten so dire, Zeb, that Arizona actually had to pass a law to stop schools from teaching classes that promote the overthrow of the United States government. I mean, the overthrow of the United States government. Who would have thought that we're going to have to pass a law in the United States that will stop schools from teaching that? That's on the leftist side. And I also discuss in the book what's happening with the Islamic propaganda in our public schools and the teaching of the Islamic propaganda. So we're not only fighting the leftist lobby, we are fighting the Islamic lobby who put their resources and their effort right now, and they ally together. I have another chapter in the book titled The Leftist Islamist Coalition, where I detail how organizations on the left, like Planned Parenthood, MoveOn.org, Organizing for Action, which is Obama's grassroots army, the ACLU and the Southern Poverty Law Center, have now combined forces and are working together and even funding organizations like CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, Linda Sarsour, the co-chair of the Women's March, and different organizations like that on Islam. My book, Rise, is a mandatory reading for anyone who is wondering how we got to this point in our country and what we can do as citizens to make a difference for our country in our own little ways, whether we are working full-time jobs, whether we are retired, whether you are a full-time mom, whether somebody working part-time. Every single one of us can make a difference for the country, and that's what my book Rise details from the first page until the last page of the book.
You know, Brigitte, I'm 71 years old, and I never thought in my lifetime that I would hear and see and watch illegal aliens point their finger at me and other Americans and say, we're coming into your country and there's not one thing you can do about it. Get out of our way. And then for those that were turned back at the border in Mexico, they're saying, well, give us $50,000 a piece to go home and we won't bother you anymore. I mean, the ransom effort and the attitude, and we, the United States, we look like weaklings.
Exactly, and that's what happened after weak policies. And you know, Zeb, I blame both the Democrats and the Republicans for this. Look, we had George Bush in office for 8 years. He didn't do anything. We had Obama for another 8 years. He didn't do anything. So the blame falls on both sides. Finally, we have a man in the White House, a real man, who is willing to risk everything in order to stand for our country. Look, President Trump put his left away his life of luxury to sacrifice and serve the American public, he and his wife. He could have been putting his feet up, enjoying his billionaire lifestyle with his children, but he finally is doing what elected officials on both the left and the right refuse to do and fix right now. And that's exactly why we need to support him, because President Obama, as well as President Bush before him, sent a very clear message to the drug cartels, to the human traffickers, to the MS-13 gang members, to the terrorists who are working with the drug cartels. You know, the border security is not really that important to us, and that's why we don't care what you guys do. We're going to let you do it. Under Obama, Obama, the situation became so bad that the whole world knew that America has become a paper tiger, and there is nothing that the president sitting in Pennsylvania Avenue can say or do that will put any fear in the heart of anybody. I mean, Syria crossed the red line. Obama didn't care. People were storming the border and coming in, and Obama did not care. So President Trump right now, this is exactly why he's digging his heels even deeper and saying, I am willing to shut down the government and take the full blame because I want to secure the border. The American public elected me to secure the border, and that's why he is worthy of our support. He is worthy of us squeaking. You know, they say squeaky wheel gets the oil. We need to squeak this week in particular before the Christmas recess as hard and as loud as we can to make sure that right now, while we have a Republican House and a Republican Congress and a Republican Senate, and to make sure that they do the right thing before they leave Congress, especially under the leadership of Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan needs to do the right thing. The leadership needs to do the right thing and give the president the funding for the wall, because we need to tell the whole world the party is over. There's a cowboy in the White House who will protect America and America's image, and he's not going to let people walk all over him. America is back. Funding the border wall is so symbolic and so important, and this is our last chance. This week is our last chance to make sure we get funding for the wall.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a quick comment. Caller, go ahead quickly. You're on the air. Thank you.
Isn't demanding $50,000 extortion or blackmail, which is breaking the law? So they come in illegally, they break the law. They demand money, they break the law.
Absolutely. Caller, Brigitte, if you'd respond to the caller, please.
Absolutely. They are breaking the law. I mean, demanding money. They're showing their true colors. Why should we give them any money? The American public needs the money. Right now, like I discuss in my book, Rise, I go over how much money we're spending on illegal immigration. $17 billion a year is spent for education for the American-born children of illegal criminal aliens known as anchor babies. $90 billion a year is spent on illegal criminal aliens for welfare and social services by the American taxpayers. 30% of all federal prison inmates are illegal criminal aliens. I can go on and on. The annual cost to America for illegal criminal aliens is a whopping $338.3 billion a year, every year. Give the president $5 billion for funding the wall in order to protect the country and save us over $330 billion a year. This is what we need to do. They are criminals. They are coming here breaking the law. There's no reason for them to be here.
Brigitte, the book, of course, is Rise in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedoms, and, of course, your organization, actforamerica.org. Do you have any final thoughts? You know, it seems like we're the people that are interested in the salvation of our Constitution and our value system. We're the ones that are called the hate mongers and the bigots, and it seems like the media is picking up on this and answering the call to liberalism. How can we defeat the media? That's a big problem in this country.
Well, I say, Zeb, 2% of the passionate will always rule the 98% indifferent. Right now, the 2% of the passionate have been the left. They have been organized. They have been mobilized, while our people sat and watched television, listened to talk radio, and got together for dinner with their friends, complaining about the status quo in our country. The way we make a difference right now to have as much passion as our enemy has. And right now, our enemy has plenty of passion. The leftists, the drug cartels, the human traffickers, the drug dealers, the terrorist organizers, the terrorists, the MS-13 gang members. We need to love our country much more than they are willing to break the law to get into our country. So right now, like I said, become more engaged, become more involved, and not just this week, but for the next 2 years, every day, go to actforamerica.org and sign up to get our emails and action alert. Become involved. Make sure you make those phone calls and write the letters. We're not asking people to show up on a street corner and demonstrate. We're not asking people to freeze at night in Valley Forge trying to protect our country like our founding fathers did. What we're asking is is, while you're reading your emails and reading the email jokes from your friends and the funny images that they sent you and all that fun stuff, with a click of a button you can make a difference for the country. We made it very effective, very smart, and very easy, and we need everyone engaged. That's how we can make a difference for the country.
Brigitte, real quick, I'm almost out of time, but of course, where can your book be obtained?
The book is available in all bookstores, Barnes & Nobles, Walmart, Sam's Club, of course, Amazon. But people can even help us in a greater way. They can go to our website, actforamerica.org, and they can get the book through our website, autographed. So people can go to actforamerica.org, and for a donation to Act for America, not only they can get the book autographed, but it's a tax-deductible donation, and they'll be able to help our cause as well.
I want to tell you something, folks. I consider this lady to be a dear friend. She is very passionate about America, and I appreciate her so much. Brigitte Gabriel, actnowforamerica.org, and the new book, of course, Rise, in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedoms. Brigitte, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and please come back.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to all and a very happy, safe, and healthy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Like I said many, many times, I've had the occasion to sit down and talk to her in person, and she's a very sincere, caring individual, and I think the world of her. Brigitte Gabriel, thank you very much. And again, the title of that book, Rise, in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedoms. Oh, the weather. Kind of a gray day out there today, isn't it? I mean, man, it looks like we're going to get snow. Maybe there's some in the forecast. We'll find out in just a minute. Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew bring you the weather forecast this hour. And, of course, they're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. Now, here's the telephone number, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats. You know, they've got all those holiday hams over there, and they've got those special meat gift boxes. Oh boy, they're fantastic. And they've got all the marinated pork ribs and the tri-tips, and the list goes on. Delicious meats from Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like a chance of rain or snow showers are in the forecast as we begin another work week and the final week before Christmas. We are looking at a 50% chance of rain or snows, mostly cloudy skies, expecting a high of 41. Winds out of the east-northeast, right around 5 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, low of 28. For tomorrow, a chance of rain or snow showers in the morning, mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon, high of 40. That could possibly continue for tomorrow night with a low of 33 by Wednesday. We're going to see some sunshine, high of 42, overnight low of 28, and Thursday mostly sunny and 41. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb.
Oh, I tell you what, thank you, Gina. She does a great job putting our weather together and so many other things over there at the station. Thank you, Gina. Scarrows Meats, the sponsor this hour of our weather, 331 North Road, Jerome. Yes, I gave you the number. I'll give it to you again. You can call them at 324-7657. And remember this, Scarrows Meats, changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. Woo! Got time for another quick call. Give me a jingle on the phone line, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What have we got planned for tomorrow? Well, I'm going to have my dear buddy back on, and that's Frosty Woldridge back in Golden, Colorado. And Frosty tells it like it is. No punches pulled, none expected. And he's going to be on the air tomorrow morning. Then, of course, we're going to have Vic with Stoats Equipment Company. And then at 10:06, we're looking at our old buddy, and that's Dr. History, to come into the studio tomorrow. I think he's going to be talking about old-fashioned Christmases and the way the families exchange gifts and the trees and everything. Going to be kind of fun. And then at 10:30, don't forget, we're going to have Maria Espinoza. She knows what's going on at the border, and we're going to have her on the program at 10:30 tomorrow. Don't forget our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow. I mean that. Wow. They are so service-oriented in making sure that you're taken care of for safe driving this winter. They've got all the tires, all the tread designs. They've got all the sizes for your cars, pickups, SUVs. They've got great tires like the Open Range AT, superior braking and quiet ride for your ATVs and your pickups. And then they got the WinterCat XT. Oh my, increased stability, advanced winter traction. All of these tires and so much more. The best of front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. All of this with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. That's it. You betcha. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I want to thank you for the kindnesses that you showed my wife and I last week over at Denny's restaurant for our Christmas party. Thank you to all. If I went to mentioning names, I know I'd forget someone, and I don't want to do that. All of you mean so much to us, and there were so many people that came by and handed us cards and wished us well for the holiday season. Thank you, and right back at you. Merry Christmas, and God bless each and every one of you. We're going to put the horse up for today and saddle it again tomorrow morning at 8:06 and ride for 3 hours till 11 o'clock. Zeb at the ranch on the week before Christmas. And remember this, the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the world needs more cowboys. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.